sector again. The Orks haven't fully been crushed by the Space Wolves. As everyone should already know, the Orks can never truly be defeated. They always come back for another go, and that's what's happened here. So the mission is escalation. So there's an objective for the corresponding turn, and there's 6 objectives on the board. So we've got one in the road here, and then there's another one further down the road in this corner, and then down the street further there's one just outside of the Eagle building, and then we've got one in the shell of this Once Proud building here, right in the centre, and another one just there, and the final one is on top of this building. Looks strangely like a one that played a part in the Orks' demise the last time. So it's a Vanguard Strike deployment. The Orks will be setting up from this corner. Naturally the Necrons will be in the other corner. Okay, so we're wheeling out the Necrons again today. It's 2,500 points. It's a Decurion detachment, and we've got the Reclamation Legion. So we've got the Overlord, he's commanding the army. He's rolled for the Eternal Warrior Warlord trait, which is very handy when you're going against Strength 10 Power Claws on nasty Orks. So he's in for a better chance of living. So he's got the Void Reaper. He's got a Resurrection Orb, he's got a Phylactrophy, he's got a Phase Shifter and Mind Shuttle Scarabs, so he's got it all going for him, potentially. So he's kitted out. We've got 2 squads of 6 Immortals. We've got the Tomb Blades, they have the +1 to the Jinx save and +1 to the Armor save upgrades. And we've got 4 units of 10 Warriors. So 2 of them have Ghost Arc each at the back, and that's it for the Reclamation Legion. We've got a Star God, the Satan Nightbringer, and we've got the Kanatech Harvest, so there's 6 bases of Scarabs. We've got the Spider and the Wraiths, there's 6 of them, and they all have whip coils. And then the last formation, we've got a Annihilation Nexus, so there's 2 Annihilation Barges and a Doomsday Ark. And then last but not least, we've got an Air Superiority detachment. So there's 2 flyers. It's out of the Death from the Skies book codex thing. So that's going to give the Necrons +2 to their first reserve rolls.
Alright, so here we have 2,500 points of Orks. It's a great Waaagh detachment. Ghazghkull is here, and this time it's war. Ghazghkull is a prophet of the Waaagh. He has rage and a ballistic skill of 3. He has an attack squid with him. Next up down we have 2 of his lieutenants. One has a Power Claw and a Scorcher, and the other one doesn't. In fact, he's just basically armed. Next to the 2 of them is Mad Dog Grotznik. So he's got his Power Claw there, and his early syringe. On the bottom floor we've got 5 knobs. One of them's got the War Banner and Power Claw. And we have a mech, and he's got the Mega Force Field. And they are riding in the battle wagon there. Okay, so now we've got the main part of the force composed of a war boss, and the war boss has the big boss pole and a big chopper and a mech down the bottom floor there. There's a little oiler. And moving on, we have 8 mega knobs. There's 3 kill saws and 3 combi scorches in there, and then there's a battle wagon. There's a rocket, and then we have 2 trucks. Each truck has 10 boys with sluggers and choppers. Next to them we have 10 Gretchen with the runt herd. Then we have 4 units of shooter boys, each of 10. There's a big shooter in each of the mobs. And then we have some Orks specialists. These guys are really good. Tank busters, 5 of them with a bomb squig. And another 5 tank busters with a bomb squig. And then we have 5 commandos, survivors of a debacle. And we have another 5 above those with looter. These are looter boys, and another 5 looter boys on the top. And that's the Orks.
Both forces are down now, so we had the Necrons set up first. It's scheduled to go first at the moment. So the couple of mortals are set up in this building here. We've got a Annihilation barge just in proximity to that objective there. I've got the Tomb Blades just ready to move out, just trying to ward off just the groups of Orks with their blasts. Weapons. We've got a Ghost Ark just tucked behind the building. The Wraiths have deployed in the street, as have the Scarabs. They're going to, because they're set up first, they're going to have to meet the first arrivals of the Orks on the scene. So that's probably why the Orks have set up the battle wagons on the other side of them. So it's going to be a bit of a longer way to go and get them. It's a TAM, and then there's a few other support vehicles. They're going to look to go up this side of the street as well. And then right in the backfield there is the warrior squad just occupying this space where this objective is. So for Necrons in reserve there's a Ghost Ark and the 2 flyers. One has 10-man warrior squad and the other one has a 6-man immortal squad, and they also have the warlord with them. So they're going to come on from reserve. Because it's Vanguard Strike, they could come along in this empty area of the board here. So that could be what the Necrons might do. Now the Orks, so they counter deploy. Looks pretty strong from the Orks here. The 2 vehicles have set up right at the back in a convoy. This shooter mob here ready to back them up. We've got support from the looters with a really good field of fire and hold an objective. And a couple of more supporting units in the backfield, the Gretchen and the boys. And then there's another truck, and we've got Ghazghkull and his band of evil Orks. The Waaagh band, captain there, he's in his battle wagon, he's ready to roll out. And then we've got 2 units of tank busters on this side. They're going to fancy the chances against the Ghost Ark, the Doomsday Ark even, right up on top of that building. So it is night on the first turn. The Orks are going to have a lot of good cover saves here. There's a lot of good fire points from the looters. There's a lot they can see, and it's up to them, the Orks that is, to try and steal the initiative on a 6.
So here we go.
Yep. So that is a 4. So the Necrons do go first. It's quite fearsome from the Orks. Because Ghazghkull is in attendance and Waaagh every turn, and every turn that they do, the entire army is fearless because of the Prophet of the Waaagh. And he's got some personal traits on top of that from the Ghazghkull Supplement Warlord trait. So it's very fast Ork army again, all fearless. Very, very tough. If the Necrons had emotions, they'd probably feel a little bit scared. the Necrons have begun their advance now, so the Immortals have moved up a level in the building, and the Annihilation Barge has stepped out of cover. It's going to try and get some shots at the looters. If you can kill a few of them, the Necrons know it'll take quite a lot of firepower out of the Orks' hands straight away. It is night on the first turn, so the looters will be getting a good cover save from that. The Ghost Ark moves all the way up from the bottom floor, all the way up to the top. And the Tomb Blades that were on this level have jumped across the buildings onto this one, and they have got quite a good shooting gallery there with their blast weapons. And the Spider, he spawned a Scarab base, took a wound, and they're all now on the move. Just gently, don't want to go too far with them, it seems. The Orks are very fast. They don't want to get themselves in a combat that they don't want to be in straight away. So they have the reanimation protocol doctrine played on them. And the Satan and the other Annihilation Barge, they move up the road. They're going to look to try and squash this side on support. Now, a commando squad have infiltrated, previously I forgot to mention, in this Eagle building, or behind the wall rather, so they have 2 rockets that could be dangerous for those vehicles potentially. So the Necrons have shot now. It was a terrible performance by the Tomb Blades. They shot all their blasts down on this mob, wild scatter here, there and everywhere. So only 2 Orks fall to that one, and just a single Ork in this building. The Annihilation Barge, again poor performance, only manages to kill 1 single tank buster here, and it's up to the Ghost Ark to send a Doomsday Blast this way. Manages to kill 2 more, so that is a morale check for them. The Orks aren't fearless just yet, so they pass. And then the second Annihilation Barge took off 2 looters, so they have to do a morale check as well. And they failed, but they are within 12 of the Waaagh banner. And then they pass, so they're still in the game and still active, so that Waaagh banner is paid off already. It's a special rule for the banner of the Waaagh. So it's on to Orks turn 1. So it's their chance to get first blood now. So the Orks now have called a Waaagh constantly throughout the game now, so the Waaagh is on and they're on the move. So we've got the Gretchen and the backfield units, they're just moving up, shifting around and such. The shooter mob has moved on. The 2 vehicles that were here in the convoy, they're both turbo boosted all the way up into the flank of the Necrons, these warriors, these Immortals even, on borrowed time. There's the Knobs in there, the Mega Knobs. There's another unit of boys with choppers and the war boss in there. It's going to be ugly. And Ghazghkull and his battle wagon cautiously coming forward. Doesn't want to get swamped by the fast Necron units, because he would, if you get swamped with that vehicle, you would lose the entire squad if they can't be deployed. We've almost done it before. And we vowed it would never happen again, so these Ghazghkull's learned his lesson from previous efforts and he's now just creeping up. The Ork boys in this section of the board have moved up, and so have the rocket boys, so everyone's getting a position to shoot. Probably at the Tomb Blades there's a lot of big shooter shots coming in, a lot of shooter shots, but they're hard enough to take it. So let's see just how good the aim of an Ork is. It's on the Ork shooting phase. So Orks have their dagger phase, and the looters on both teams open up on the Tomb Blades, as well as an assortment of big shooters from everywhere in the army, able to kill 1 Tomb Blade, and they had to jink because it's night, they're saving on a 2 with the upgrades as well, so they're going to need a morale check on a 10, and they fail on an 11, so they're going to go back 3d6, so there's 9, 10, so they're going back 10 inches. It's devastating for the Necrons. And a warrior shot from the top of the building there. So one of those went down, and that is it. But the Tomb Blade's fallen back is big licks for the Orks. So no points scored for either army in that whole first turn. Recon for the Necrons unachievable so far, and Orks, of course, they pulled Harness the Warp, so no one's able to seize that crucial first blood. So it's on to Necrons in turn 2. Okay, it's Necron turn 2. Things are starting to move on now. So we've got the Satan. He's came round the corner. He's going to look to death stare somebody in this section of the board. I've got the Jinkin Annihilation Barge. He's going to look to try and get revenge on these tank busters. So the Annihilation Barge is now taking up place of where the Tomb Blades were. He's moved full 12, so he's only going to be snap firing. And then the Necron Air Forces came on, and they're in an attack formation, so they're going to get +1 to the ballistic skill, and they're going to select some targets, probably the looters located there and on top of the building itself. So that's the only real threat to those flyers in the air, so we're going to try and get there first and take them down. And not much movement in the road, everyone's staying still, bracing for this Ork impact. On this side, on the Ork flank, just coming right down here, ready to munch their way down the line in Necrons. So let's see if the Necrons can muster any damaging firepower before they are inevitably overrun by these Orks here. So the Necron Air Force comes zooming on and opens up onto these looters on the building. Go to ground and nobody dies. The other flyer fires onto these looters and 3 go down even though they did go to ground. So there's just 2 left. But because they went to ground, they're still going to be snap firing at the flyers next turn. So they're just going to be doing exactly what they were doing before. And they are fearless because Ghazghkull's calling the Waaagh, so they're still in the fight. The Satan, he opens up with his powers of Satan on the 5-man tank buster squad that was here. They pulled a D weapon shot, so he just kills 1, and then it's up to the death stare that kills the rest off. So that was first blood for the Necrons. That's so important. That's the first point of the game. And the snapfire and annihilation barge he opens up on this Ork unit here and manages to just kill that extra 1 from the tank busters there. So the tank busters just down to a man now, and the commandos on this side of the wall have had to go to ground, had to suffer fire from the broadside of the Doomsday Ark and a couple of shots from the warriors. Didn't really take much stick, and then the Doomsday Ark, manages to fire at Ghazghkull, but the custom force field save deals with that handily. So the only things left to fire on this side of the board are the warrior squad in the Ghost Ark and the Ghost Ark itself, and the warriors all shoot at these Ork vehicles in the back line, and the Orks just don't come away even with a scratch. So the Necrons failing to do significant damage on all fronts and failing to get any significant points as well. So first blood is welcome, but they're going to need to do more, because the Orks are now going to close in on this turn. So it's turn 2 for the Orks. Okay, so it's the Orks moving phase in turn 2. Necrons should start getting very worried now. The truck has pulled up, deposited a chopper mob and a war boss. These are going to have to be immortal to survive that. And then we've got a major bust up in the street. Here come the Mega Knobs. Ghazghkull's going to make his way out of the battle wagon. He's going to run and then he's going to charge the raids. So that fight will happen, it was inevitable. And this truck mob, they try to get out, they only move 2 inches through cover. So they're going to need a mega run and then a mega charge to try and reach the top floor, to try and take the Annihilation barge out. But it's all going to happen down this street. So there we go, so the Orks are going to make contact and it's going to be nasty. In this sector of the board, these 2 Ork mobs have moved around. Their attentions are on the Satan now. So he is going to take a little bit of dagger. He should come through okay, but you never know. And there's just one tank buster left and he's going to let his trusty squig go. Most likely at the Satan as well. So it's all set up for a good turn from the Orks here. Let's see just how well they get on. The choppers are primed. The dagger is loaded. Okay, so the Orks start the shooting and a lot of firepower comes flying through onto these immortals, and they do get through step 1 of Operation Survive, and they are fine, they're ready to go, ready to take on that combat with these Orks and the war boss. So the next step is the hardest, and that's coming through an assault. And the burners, the scorchers even, on the Mega Knobs and a few twin-link shooters just fail to do any damage to the tomb blades, so they are free to survive in about 2 seconds until they get charged by all these Mega Knobs. Could get lucky for the Necrons, they could fail the charge, but the Orks make the unluck. They get an extra dice to get in that charge there, so don't fancy the tomb blades chances there. So over here is really where the Orks put the eye to the gun and actually aimed and shot this time. So all these boys here shot the Satan, he's down to only 1 wound left. All these shots came in from this squad, this backfield with a big shooter, and all of the looters fired at him. Got him down to 3, give him 3 wounds, he's down to his last wound now. So all the Orks have made it into the charges, all the boys have moved up in this building. The Mega Knobs are in, and a mammoth charge from Ghazghkull and his Council of Waaagh have got right in amongst the raids, so it's going to be the biggest Orky bust up that this street has ever seen. The combats have been resolved in the street. Ghazghkull's crew just take a chunk out of the raids. There's 2 lost and 3 of them have wounds. Most of the wounds came to the normal choppers. It was horrendous rolling for the Necrons, and then the ship came in when it came to the strength 10 power quads. They did manage to get the invulnerable saves, but in the first round of it, where the Necrons actually strike at initiative 5, really bad dice rolling from them and don't even put a wound on any Ork. Well, it didn't really matter anyway, because Ghazghkull just did absorb what hits they got on these invulnerable 2. That's why for this game he's the incredible invulnerable Ghazghkull. So he's going to basically do what he wants for this game, and he's just shown us now. And so the Mega Knobs, they turn over the tomb blades and capture this objective 6, so there's an objective for the Orks there. And here the Immortals do quite well. They lose 2 in the exchange and fail to kill any Orks back. But they're going to take a morale check. They're going to need an 8 to pass, and they've passed on a 7, so they're going to hold. It's pretty good going for the Necrons, and there's a point in it for the Orks there. So 1 objective here, and they're on their way to a second objective held by these Necrons. So the sooner Ghazghkull can clear the street, they can get that. So he's not a man to waste time. He gets bored quite easily, so he'll kill these and move on his way. So it's on to Necrons turn 3 now. We'll have to pull something big out of the bag here to come back. Okay, so the Necrons have moved now, and the reserve Ghost Ark fails to come onto the board, but this other one has moved down from the building. The warriors have had to disembark because the Necrons need that objective in the street, so they're going to have to take the chances against that massive Orks. So we've got a lot of Ghost fire. The flyer has turned around to add its weight of fire to the exchange, so we'll try and take those knobs down, it seems, as much as they can. Before that turns, it deposits the Lord's unit, the Overlord's unit, onto the top of the building, and that is another objective that they need, so we're going to have to kill at least one looter to come away with that this turn. And the other flyer, again, similarly, it deposits a warrior squad. They beam in before it takes off. So they're ready to get some shots on this Ork mob in the street, and it flies onto either combat, well, it's going to combat these Orks in the street here. Satan, enraged by taking some wounds there, he's moved up. He's going to try and do some Satan powers on these Orks in the street, and the Scarabs are going to support him. And the battle between this Annihilation Barge and the last remaining Ork will continue. So the only question is, will this Ghost Ark fire over the combat, and the Doomsday Ark even, over the combat and down onto those mega knobs? It's risky, it's very risky, it's high risk, high reward. I think they may have to do it. So we're going to do the Doomsday Ark. It's going to fire on the knobs. This is the designated target, just here. And we're going to see where that goes. So I should have 6 under the blast if it hits. That's a direct hit, so that is good news. Finally, the Necrons get a direct hit, and it couldn't have came at a better time. So there's 6 under there. Necrons have a fairly successful shooting phase there. The Doomsday Cannon gets its hit, and the Orks manage to save 2, but they do succumb. So there's the Mega Knobs halved, and a wound on the back one. All of the warriors, the Ghost Ark and the flyer here in close support tried the best to take down that one Ork that would have given them that objective. So that is the Orks denying that objective still after all that firepower. And on the roof, it was better news. The Overlord squad, they just totally wiped out the last remaining Orks on there, allowing them to take that objective. So that is one for the Necrons, and that Ork boy unit has been whittled down to just 2 left. So the Orks are starting to take some casualties now. The Satan finally gets his revenge. Again, he pulls the D weapon power, and he actually misses this time, so he doesn't even kill an Ork. But luckily the death stare is good enough, and it kills 4 Orks and allows him to regain a wound. So he's powering back up, and he might go for a long charge here. The Scarabs looking like they're going to back him up as well. And the last remaining tank buster, he was brought down by the broadside on the Annihilation Barge. So it's onto the assault phase now. So the Scarabs are going to go in. The Satan might find himself in there, and then it's Ghazghkull to finish off mincing these raids about. So the Scarabs managed to get in on the smaller Orc squad and tear them up into little pieces and then devour them. So they have been beaten. And in the nastier combat over here, Ghazghkull and his crew managed to bring the raids down to one left. Some really impressive saving from the raids this time, but not so good on their attacks. Ghazghkull just takes them all on his invulnerable 2 save, doesn't even take a scratch, so he's definitely making his way through those raids. There's only one left and the Wraith has only got 1 wound left, so he's on borrowed time, but he's done what they've needed to do, and that's held them up, and that's very, very important. And over here, the Necrons failed to do anything to the Orks, but the Orks only managed to tear down 1 Immortal in return. So the Immortals have to do a morale check for losing that combat. They are on a 9 from losing 1. And they pass on a 4, so they're going to hold strong. So it's going to frustrate the Orks being tied up in these combats that they just can't get out of. But these Mega Nobs in the street look like they're going to have their way with either the Warriors or the Ghost Ark, or perhaps even the Annihilation Barge up there. They've got their options and they're foaming at the mouth. Recon. So the Orks did most of the work for the Necrons there. So recon and secure that objective on the building. 2 points in the bag. It was very much needed for them. So Orks on the move in turn 3. It's all happening now for the Orks. Now they're deep in the Necron territory. So the Nobs, the survivors, they've moved on. Going to take out the Kanatech Spider, and this battle wagon steamed up the street and it's rammed the Ghost Ark, causes a glancing hit. Strength 9 from these battle wagons. When they ram you, it's nasty stuff. And we've got some Orks coming through the wall here. They're going to look to assault the Warriors. And then we've got the Orks, they've came out from behind their cover. Looks like they're setting up a charge on these Warriors. The Gretchen on the other side of the building, they're going to lend their expert shots to that conflict as well. And then with the last 2 remaining Orks going to join in as well. More the merrier for the Orks. Still got a few looters left to shoot. Survivors of the strafe and run from the Flyers going to look to get their revenge now. And then we have a unit of boys going to look to take on the Satan. Perhaps not kill them, but wrap them up in a combat. That will be very helpful for the Orks at this moment. And so if the Orks get 3 charges off and they all go 10 inches, then there's some good points in it for the Orks here. The Orks have shot now. These run through the wall only an inch, but it should be enough to get in on a charge there. So the Warriors are ready to accept that. The Nobs in the alley, they took some shots at the Spider. Everything just pings off. It's just too tough. And then a lot of things shoot the Satan and he comes away scot-free. He's still only on 2 wounds. And this Warrior squad here takes a bit of a pacing from the Gretchen and the Orc boys. They've lost 3. And it is enough for a morale check. So they're going to be on a morale check of 10. And they pass on a 10. So just. So they are still going to hold. And now it's under Orc assault, so this is where the Orks do business. Orks are on the charge now. The Orks burst through the wall, get hosed down by the Ghost Fire and Overwatch to lose 3, so only 2 make it in. So in this area of the board, the Necron Warriors have clearly stirred the Hornet's Nest where they've landed. So the boys in the back, they've swamped them, and the Gretchen have came in as well, so they've got the hands full. And then this unit of boys has moved in on the Satan, so they fancy their chances. And of course the Nobs make it in on the Kanatech Spider. So the Orks did make 2 long charges. It wasn't enough to get the 3rd, but they still are going to get a victory point just for charging long distances. So it's on to the actual fights now. So the Orks have now finished on the Necrons, so this was the turn that Gork and Mork gave their blessings, and Ghazghkull and his mob finally kill off the Wraiths. The mega nobs, easily killed the spider, just took 1 wound in return. And then this 6-man orc team took down the Satan and then exploded, and there's only 1 orc left, so they did incredibly well against the Satan, punched well above the station, and the last 2 immortals are brought down finally by this mob of orcs with a war boss in it. And this was horrendous. The 2 orcs come in with an incredible roll, kill off 2 warriors, and the warriors can only manage 1 orc themselves, so they actually won the combat, the orcs, and the warriors hauled. So it's been a massive nuisance on this objective, the hold and the Necrons' ambitions of getting that one right there. So it's just unit after unit flooding that area, the Necrons struggling. And then over here the orcs move in, and so do the Gretchen on the warriors, and the orcs managed to kill 4 Necrons on Hammer of Wrath attacks alone, and the Necrons just hold their morale. So it's been an incredible turn for the orcs on killing all the Necrons, and it's up to the Necrons now to try and come back. So the Necrons have moved now, so they've all attempting to set up some sort of kill box on Ghazghkull. So the flyers have came in for air support. The warriors have turned around. This Ghost Ark has turned up from reserve, so we're going to give it the broadside and the passengers on board. See if just how hard Ghazghkull's crew really are. Then we've got an annihilation barge on top of this building. They're going to add some weight of fire to these knobs here. The Scarabs have made their way up the alley. They're going to join a combat, whoever is weakened the most. And this annihilation barge here, he's going to join fire as well. And then there's a doomsday cannon on top of the building aimed at Ghazghkull's posse. So they're going to be taking a lot of stick in this round. Lucky Ghazghkull's brought his stick as well. So the Overlord squad has just moved across the building. They might have to join this combat if they can, or they might have to shoot a vehicle in the back. Depends how the Ghazghkull murdering squad goes. There is a point for Slaughter the Living, so they need to destroy units somewhere. So we try to keep the possibilities open for the Necrons. And this Ghost Ark has burst through the wall into the middle of this building, because that is another objective that the Necrons need to secure. So it's some devastating blows to the Necrons, but they're trying to keep the points going, trying to keep those orders rolling in. As the game continues, there's more orders to have, so it's touch and go at this point. So it's up to Necrons to put in a good shooting round here if they want to stay in the game. Okay, so the Necrons have tried the best at shooting. Ghazghkull's unit is just too damn hard. One war boss does go down from the fire from this barge here. This Ghost Ark opens up, pulls him down. The 2 flyers do very little, and the combined fire of both annihilation barges on top of the buildings they fire on the knobs and only achieve just one wound on a knob, so it's going to be up to the Scarabs to try and bring those down in a combat. I don't fancy the chances, but you never know. There's been lots of saves on Ghazghkull's Invulnerable 2 as expected. He saves most of the nasty shots from the Doomsday cannon, and they continue to just still stay within range of that objective. So, oh yes, the Ghost Ark, the Doomsday Ark even, broadsided through this building that last remaining Ork that was battling the Satan. He does go down, that gives the Necrons slaughter the living. So there's a victory point, and a victory point here for this objective. And it looks like the final stages of the Necron phase is going to be an attempted assault down here to try and save these warriors from the Lord's unit. And then this assault here to see if the Necrons can mop up that last boy. The Necron overlords made it from the top of the roof down to the floor. They've assaulted the Gretchen, the weaker of the two. He's a bit of a bully, but that's what he's got to do. He's cold-hearted, and that will go ahead. It was a big charge, 9-inch charge, and the Scarabs have moved in on the knob, so this is going to be a very tough nut to crack for the Necrons. So it's all set up now. The Necrons need some luck on their side. So the Necron combat phase has been resolved now, so the Lord, he moves in on the Gretchen, totally wipes them out, and the Orks finish off the last remaining warriors, and because they weren't in contact with each other, they just split apart, so the Orks are going on to bigger and better things now. The Scarabs, with a woeful performance, when you put a wound on a knob and the knobs almost clean them out down to 2 bases left. So the only other combat that happened was behind this wall. The Necrons managed to kill one Ork, and there's 2 victory points for the Necrons in that round. The points are coming in, but the damage is just being absorbed by the Orks at every turn. So it's on to the Orks to try and bash the Necrons up some more. Okay, so we're into the Orks movement phase now. So this truck's booming through the building. That is an objective the Orks need to seize to battle over that one, because the Necrons needed it last turn. So the Orks are going to have to take out the Ghost Ark to achieve that. So they've finally left this warrior squad alone, but not totally alone, because there's another assault going to come off from the war boss and his best friends of chopper Orks, going to chop those big time. And then we've got Ghazghkull with his never-ending march of destruction. He's going to turn over these Necrons, no doubt, and the quiet commandos who've been in that building all game finally going to pick up a point just on the outside of that building is the objective that they need. So they've earned their keep, I think. And these Orks here, they're going to possibly be the ones who are going to try and take out this Ghost Ark, and the looters staying put in that building. Okay, the Orks have completed their shooting phase. The blessings of Ghazghkull still continue. The big shooter from this truck here shoots up at the back of the Annihilation barge and just blows it up with one shot. So that is just so hard to take as the Necron player. And another hull point on the Ghost Ark from the Orks shooting that into the back, even though that is chinking as well. So the Orks are getting away here, and Ghazghkull shoots with his improved ballistic skill thanks to a warlord trait and takes down a Necron warrior, but of course that's not where the damage is going to come from. They are getting themselves excited for another assault. They've never killed so many machines in their life. Orks from here have made it over the wall straight into combat without any damage at all, so that is going to go down, that combat. Ghazghkull, he gets in, he takes a wound surprisingly from the Overwatch, so the Necron warriors have probably done the best they're ever going to do there. So there's a wound on Ghazghkull, and he's going to continue the combat with the 2 Scarabs. That should be over in a blink of an eye, and this mob moves in on the Ghost Ark, so the Orks need to take that out, remember, to achieve that objective in the centre of the building, so it's very important for them to do that. Okay, so the Orks have their assault phase and they move in, cripple this Ghost Ark, and it allows this truck to claim that objective. So there's 1 victory point for the Orks in that sector. The Necrons hold their own in this combat. They're able to do fantastically well, actually kill the war boss. He opted to take saves on him and he filled them all, and then the Necrons have 3 slain in return, so it's a drawn combat. So the Necrons are holding strong there, surprisingly. And unsurprisingly, Ghazghkull rolls over this this Necron warrior squad that was here. There was just 1 survivor and he has bailed out, so he's going to need a double 1 to rally next turn. Don't see that happening. He's very close to the edge of the board, so he's as good as gone. And as we say, there's another victory point secured by the commandos in the doorway in the distance, and Ghazghkull himself and his unit have claimed this objective in the Necrons half, deep in the Necrons half. So there's 3 points for the Orks. I believe both forces are now level pegging for points. We'll just have to see what orders come through for the Necrons if they're going to stay in this game, because the Orks are running wild in the backfield. The Necrons are on the move now, so the Ghost Ark has moved just a touch and got out the next squad of warriors. What they're trying to achieve is to kill this war boss on the outskirts of that mob. If they can achieve that, then they can achieve that objective that he's sitting on, because the Orks have fanned out too much. So they could sneak in there and take that objective from them if all goes to plan. If the Necrons can somehow win this combat, they'll get themselves another victory point there. This is all long shot. And then for an extra bit of drama and long shot, we've got the Lord, the Overlord, and his mortal unit. They need to mount a charge onto the Orks here. They need to win that combat, and then they need to consolidate onto this objective. And some tall orders there, and this flyer needs to be able to finish the rest of these looters off to secure overwhelming firepower. So the Necrons are in position to do something. The only question is, can they do it? The Orks have proven to be incredibly tough. So the Necrons have their shooting phase. The Annihilation Barge opens up onto the Mega Nobs. Finally, they start to drop. 2 of them have went. There's 2 left. Some success over here as well. They were able to kill the war boss, allowing that Necron unit to take that objective. So that's a glorious victory point for them. And it was a couple of wounds on Grotznik as well, so pretty handy for them. And the flyers shot their designated targets, and this one, but most importantly, shot the looters in that building. 1 is left, so that still has overwhelming firepower slipping through the Necrons' cold metal fingers. So for the assault phase, the Lord's unit manages an incredible 11-inch charge, grabs the Orks by the scruff of the neck. So these combats are going to be pivotal. So close to that objective, we just need to wipe these Orks out and then consolidate. It's a pipe dream, but could happen. So it's on to the assault phases. Let's get that sickle nice and sharp. So the combats are resolved now for the Necrons. This fight is a draw, so it's tough going for the Necrons. Still need that objective. It's still being blocked by the Orks. This one, as we know, was scored. So this combat here, where the Lord and his squad went in, killed a fair few Orks. Not enough. They needed a really strong round of combat there, but it was just a little bit below average, so it wasn't enough to actually wipe out the Orks. And they kill a Necron Immortal in return. So the Orks are fearless army-wide every turn because of Ghazghkull, so we've got to wipe them out to be able to consolidate onto this objective here. So it was a long shot, hasn't paid off, and none of the overwhelming firepower possibilities have paid off either. So in the Necron Old Codex, it did mention that the Orks just do things that the Necrons can't compute, and that just seems to be the case here. The Necrons just can't figure out this orkiness. So it's the Orks' turn now. Things are looking just as good as they were before for the Orks. They've got the orders through. Very objective based, so they've got all the vehicles, all the fast vehicles to do this. So the truck has moved through the building, seized this objective from under the Necron's grasp, and this battle wagon's moved through to claim the one in the centre, and the backfield one has moved right up within 3 of that one on the top of the building there. So there's Ascendancy already scored, and objective 3, which is this one, is scored as well, so it's already potentially 4 victory points for the Orks here. And then Ghazghkull, he's going to move on and just smash that unit of warriors to bits. And this truck, this battle wagon even, has picked up the Ork knobs, and they're just going to do whatever they want in the following turns. So the Orks just continue their rampage, and the Necrons continue their puzzlement. So the Ork shooting phase is over, not much to write home about. The rockets and Looter shot at the flyer with no damage, opted not to jinx, so it's still active. And Ghazghkull and his unit have finally moved in on these warriors, and they're going to make short work of these. So no, actually 1 wound in the Overwatch, but the Orks just laughed that off, and it's on to certain death here. So the Orks have their assault phase. Ghazghkull, as predicted, and his unit mangle the warriors, so they are no more. Over here, the Necrons lose the combat by 1, fill the morale, and get swept. That's really, really bitter. Okay, so over here, on the different end of the spectrum, the Necrons have actually killed the remaining Orks, and they've consolidated 6 inches onto this objective. It's going to stop the Orks from getting that one, but it's not going to stop them getting Ascendancy. So there's D3 victory points for Ascendancy.
Here we go.
It's 2, so it's 1 more than the Necrons needed the Orks to have. So the Necrons are going to respond in this turn with a few objectives. The orders came through to take objective 6 again. The word is frustration. That has just been with the Necrons the whole game, and it's just been stopped by one or two Ork units that could have been dealt with, but it just hasn't turned out that way. So that is just the story of the game for the Necrons. So that one eludes them still. The Ghost Ark is going to have to make up for it. It's moved. It's going to broadside the battle wagon. Perhaps some Gauss fire is going to come through. The Doomsday Ark's going to have to contribute. The Annihilation Barge is going to see if he's up to picking off the last two commandos. And this fly is moved along. It's a little bit to the right of where it should be, but it will be getting some shots off at this truck. If that takes that out, more the merrier. And this fly is going to try and take out that last looter. Now, just a little disclaimer for earlier on, they did go to ground. A few Ork units did, and in hindsight you realise that all the Orks are fearless and that can't be done, so just to save anyone recognising that mistake. So that should be rectified by the Necron Knight side right now, so he's surely on borrowed time. And the Necron Lords units, they're going to try and take this objective by dealing with that wagon, truck even. So potentially overwhelming firepower, 3 victory points, D3 victory points could be scored that Necrons really needed at this stage. So lock and load. Okay, so the Necrons have shot now, and it was a successful round. The Ghost Ark fires Ghost weapons, gets 2 glances on this battle wagon. The real damage is done over here. Finally, the commandos are dealt with. Both of those are dead now. The truck is taken out by the Ghost. I'm getting confused now. It's not the Ghost. It is a Annihilation Barge, fires down the street. That explodes. And similar here, Tesla Destructor, the weapon of choice today, takes out the trucks. So they're both gone. And finally, the last looter who's in that building, the Tesla Destructor, brings him down. So that is going to be ascendancy for Necron. It's going to be, no, not ascendancy, it's overwhelming firepower, should I say. So it's going to be a D3 victory point scoring objective, and the Overlords moved onto that objective that they need. So see how many points the overwhelming firepower brought in. Going to need a good roll. No, it's not. So 2 victory points for the Necrons. I don't think that's going to be enough to see the game out for them. So it's on to the Orks and their potentially last turn. Okay, so the Orks have moved and secure 1 more victory point, and then they'll go on to blow this Ghost Ark up. The Orks rolled to see the game continues. It ends, so it tallied up the points because it's not going to continue. So the Orks are just going to leave it there, and they do win. It's 10-9 to the Orks. So that last, we'll throw the dice for the Necrons there, only getting 1, just kept them out, and the Orks stay on top. So a hard fought battle, that one. The Orks just mooched their way down this street, destroyed everything in the way, and the Necrons just couldn't seem to get those protocols going, couldn't get those orders, and the Orks just butchered them right down to just the Warlord squad left and just a few scattered vehicles here and there. And the Orks have probably the same amount of points left. They've got a big amount of points wrapped up in Ghazghkull's mob. There's 2 Meganobs? Yeah, Meganobs still left in the battle wagon. And then of course we've got a boy squad just still on this objective that the Necrons needed all game. These have been stars, these ones. And then there's another battle wagon still left. So the Orks could, if the game continued, still reached out into further objectives, and the Necrons just haven't got the manoeuvrability there. So it was really down to that last roll of the dice for the Necrons and the Orks, and that is the game. So 10-9 to the Orks.
Waaagh!
and the Necrons weep tears of oil.